To this day, I still get some interesting reactions when I'm in public and I take out my 2016 retro Nokia 3310. Suffice to say, the responses range from disbelief, playful ribbing, and some genuine understanding at times. It's been almost 6 years since I ditched my old iPhone, and in that time, I haven't missed having a smartphone. Though there are certainly an increasing number of instances in our modern, continuously connected world where having one would be a major advantage. The reason I ditched my smartphone was largely down to how much of a distraction it was and how zombifying it could be. When you have so many apps, services, and features packed into one device, coupled with the addictive nature of social media, which seeks to retain your attention as much as possible, it can become an unhealthy habit. Twice while walking through Dublin City yesterday, I had to dodge two people who were walking straight towards me with their heads buried in their phones. This phenomenon has become so bad at this point that in the German city of Augsburg, they've installed traffic lights in the ground for smartphone users to alert them when to stop and when to walk at pedestrian crossings. I continue to occasionally see couples or entire families sitting across from each other in restaurants with their heads glued to their phones, mindlessly swiping and tapping away without saying a single word to each other. What's that quote? Smartphones have the power to make people far away seem close to us, and to make people close to us seem far away. Something like that. For me, I found the distraction to be too much of a negative, and I no longer felt present. My awareness and concentration was drastically reduced. But above all, the barrier between my work life and personal life was simply non-existent. When your job is YouTube, there's a tendency to keep checking engagement and reading comments, or staying connected to work in some respect, long after you've actually stopped working. So the office was essentially following me around in my pocket. Of course, I tried to limit and regulate my usage by disabling or deleting certain apps and services, but gradually I'd fall back into my old ways by using the web browser instead rather than the apps. I've talked about smartphone addiction extensively on this channel in the past. As I always explain to people when they ask me about my Nokia 3310 in public, the nature of my work being heavily centered around social media only served to exacerbate my compulsion to keep checking notifications, YouTube comments, and other forms of social media engagement. I actually don't know how other creators with reasonably large audiences on social media manage to separate their work from their personal life. Having a smartphone when your work is basically the internet means that you never truly unplug. At least for me. I was never able to fully switch off, so a clean break worked best in my situation. I needed the internet to be contained within a room that I could close the door on each evening and walk away. I recognize that's not for everyone and probably seems a bit radical these days, but it's what I needed to do. There are only a few instances where I miss having a smartphone. The camera on this thing is an absolute joke, typing a text message obviously takes forever, and I miss having access to some kind of GPS application. But on the plus side, the battery lasts forever, and I'm fairly certain my phone isn't worth a mugger's time if I'm ever held at knife point. I'm also glad I no longer have a personal Facebook account. I still have a business page for Computing Forever, but because I don't have a personal account, I don't have to witness other people's Facebook narcissism. Facebook and Twitter have become places for people to post emotionally needy and vacuous messages designed to elicit public validation from their peer group, and in some cases these platforms can bring out the worst in people. When such social media addicts aren't virtue signaling about having the latest politically correct, socially progressive attitudes and viewpoints, they're seeking approval, praise, and flattery from their friends and desperately desiring another dopamine hit from the latest like, share, comment, and other positive reinforcement. In the last two major referendums in Ireland, I remember hearing friends and family tell me about some truly awful comments people would post on their Facebook walls. Things like, "Anyone who's going to vote no, let me know now so I can unfriend you." I cringed hard when I saw comments on Twitter after the last US presidential election or Brexit, with people on the left posting emotional bile like, "Stay safe, hon, hugs, I'm literally shaking." Apparently similar comments did the rounds in Brazil when Jair Bolsonaro was elected. These emotional echo chambers further insulate people and encourage more narcissistic and needy behavior, and when you add in some Facebook envy, which appears to be a genuine problem for many people, I honestly believe that heavy personal social media usage is simply unhealthy and is making people miserable, which is actually why I like Minds and Gab, because they're more about posting links and sharing ideas. They're not about small friend and family-based social circles. In the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology, Volume 33, published in 2014, Miley N. Steers, Robert E. Wickham, and Linda K. Acatelli published the following: Seeing Everyone Else's Highlight Reels, How Facebook Usage is Linked to Depressive Symptoms. Two studies investigated how social comparison to peers through computer-mediated interactions on Facebook might impact users' psychological health. Study 1 revealed an association between time spent on Facebook and depressive symptoms for both genders. Study 2 found that the relationship between the amount of time spent on Facebook and depressive symptoms was uniquely mediated by upward, non-directional, and downward Facebook social comparisons. Similarly, all three types of Facebook social comparisons mediated the relationship between the number of Facebook logins and depressive symptoms. Unlike Study 1, gender did not moderate these associations. Both studies provide evidence that people feel depressed after spending a great deal of time on Facebook because they feel badly when comparing themselves to others. As if you needed another reason to delete your Facebook profile. If something you're doing is making you miserable, you have to simply cut that behavior out of your life. Human beings like to compare themselves to others to see where they are in the social pecking order, and social media essentially allows a person to edit out all of the negative and boring aspects of their lives and include only the positive and fun stuff, essentially turning their Facebook timeline into a highlight reel, their best of, a chronological listing of the best aspects and moments in their lives. It's perfect for narcissists. You know, the family photos, the great meals they've had in all the fancy restaurants, celebrations, holidays, and so forth. This, in turn, causes others to compare themselves, often unconsciously, with such artificially constructed representations of a person's life. There are absolutely positive uses for social media, for research, news, and education, but the so-called social aspect of social media is an oxymoron, and ditching my smartphone for a dumb phone, for me, was a smart move. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.